Good evening, everyone. Thank you for attending Parent Cyber Night 3. My name is Rani Agarwal, and I am the RTI, or Response to Intervention Coordinator at Orchard Valley Middle School. And I'm also the ELA, English Language Arts Literacy Interventionist. And presenting beside me here today is Joseph Downey, and he is the English Language Arts Literacy Interventionist at Bunker Hill Middle School and Chestnut Ridge Middle School. Again, thank you for attending our presentation. We will be talking to you today about college and career English language arts literacy.
Did we share the screen?
And bear with us for 1 minute as we share with you our presentation. Okay, we will begin this presentation by talking a little bit about college and career readiness and what it means to English language arts literacy. Then the presentation will be segmented into reading and writing, and then following will be resources, references, and a question and answer session. We would like you to text the word Orchard Valley without the Y 461 to 22333 to join the session and text your questions. Before we break for the question and answer section towards the end, we will give you directions as to how to ask us the questions. So, what does it mean to be college and career ready? According to Achieve.com, college and career readiness means that a high school graduate has the knowledge and skills in English and mathematics necessary to succeed in entry-level, credit-bearing post-secondary coursework without the need for remediation. This basically means that students should leave high school prepared to take on the demands of college. In fact, Paul T. Corrigan stresses that college and career readiness is essential for success. He explains that college education has become even more rigorous in order to prepare students for the workforce. According to Paul, the amount of new technical information is doubling every 2 years. For students starting a 4-year technical college degree, this means that half of what they learn in their first year of study will be outdated by their 3rd year. We certainly face a challenging situation. The top 10 in-demand jobs in 2010 did not exist in 2004. Carl Fish and Scott McLeod developed a very interesting YouTube video that went viral. It is entitled, "Did You Know?" And it talks about the technological progress around the world. Feel free to check this video out when you get a chance. I have posted it on my Agarwal teacher page, and towards the end of the presentation, I will bring you to the teacher page to show you how to access the video. According to Jason Perez, basic curriculum knowledge is no longer enough to prepare our future leaders for the global market that exists. There must be a stronger emphasis on the part of schools, districts, and states to align curriculum with career readiness standards. And this is exactly what our state of New Jersey has done. Schools in New Jersey follow the Common Core state standards. These standards guide our curriculum and take into account college and career readiness. According to the writers of the Common Core state standards, students who are college and career ready demonstrate independence, build strong content knowledge, respond to the varying demands of audience, task, purpose, and discipline, comprehend as well as critique, value evidence, use technology and digital media strategically and capably. They also understand other perspectives and cultures. Here is an example of an image from the Common Core State Standards website. As you can see, the college and career readiness standards are embedded into the website. If you follow along with my mouse, you'll notice the green arrow pointing to the college and career readiness anchor standards. And just a few more highlights. The schools in New Jersey are preparing for college and career readiness in ELA through the use of the Common Core State Standards, as we just discussed. It is true, and maybe some of you might know, later this year, the New Jersey Department of Education will adopt even higher academic standards for ELA and math. Stay tuned for more information by logging onto the State of New Jersey website. The Common Core State Standards are essentially learning goals. They determine what students should know and be able to do at each grade level. The standards focus on developing the critical thinking, problem-solving, and analytical skills students will need to be successful today. More information that is geared more for parents regarding the Common Core State Standards can be found on the following website. The actual ELA Common Core State Standards can be accessed through the second website on this page at the bottom. Now, with regards to reading, the Common Core State Standards target the following skills among many, many others. The standards feel that showing demonstration in text evidence, inference, theme, plot, point of view, context clues, summary, claims, drawing conclusions, central idea, figurative language, compare and contrast, connotative meanings, and author's purpose, all of these skills are very, very important. And lessons and activities for many of these skills can be found on the Agrawal teacher page by accessing the link below. You will find games and lessons and different activities that you can do with your child at home. They are interactive and engaging. And what better way to strengthen these areas than by doing something fun? There's more that parents can do. As mentioned earlier, we can practice skills with children. Many of your child's teachers have websites, and accessing them is a great resource. Another wonderful resource available is Study Island at www.studyisland.com. It is a web-based platform that allows students to learn all of the skills mentioned earlier today. The website provides lessons and games and activities that are engaging, and students can select which lesson or which skill he or she wants to practice. In order to access Study Island, the username is the first initial last name at OVMS, and the password is the student's lunch ID. For example, John Doe, it would be jdoe at OVMS. Another interesting idea is encouraging children to read for fun. According to Dr. Alice Sullivan, a study of 17,000 people from birth indicates that reading for pleasure improves not just literacy, but math ability too. The study pointed that those who frequently read books at age 10 and more than once a week when they were 16 had higher test results than those who read less. In fact, the impact of reading for pleasure was around 4 times greater than that of having a parent with a post-secondary degree. Another way to interact with your child and encourage reading is by monitoring your child's bookshelf with Accelerated Reader Home Connect. As you might be knowing, the Accelerated Reader program is in use within our school district, and students read books and they take quizzes using this platform. All the books that the students have taken quizzes on, you have access to see through the virtual bookshelf. And the way to access this link is through this website that's listed here on this PowerPoint. It's also listed on my teacher page. And the username and password is simply the same username and password that your child uses in order to access Accelerated Reader. It would be the first initial, first four letters of the last name, and the password is the lunch ID. With regards to book selection, sometimes you might be interested in viewing what level your child's books are on. AR Book Find is a great resource that can help you figure out what level your child's book's on. For example, a BL or book level of 7 means that the book is on a 7th grade reading level. Okay, at this time, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Joe Downey. Joe is going to talk to you about the writing aspect.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in tonight to Parents Night 3. I'm going to start by introducing why is writing important, and especially when we think about college and career readiness. And again, we want to invite you to tune into our poll everywhere. Please, as this presentation is going on, feel free to ask any questions you may have about reading and writing. So to begin, why is writing important? Writing is something that is very practical. Most of our students from K through 12 are going to be writing at some point. Writing is an important form of communication. Every day, our students write whether to respond to one another, to show what they know about a topic, or even a text message, a tweet, or a Facebook post. These are all ways that we communicate in our society. And again, writing is at the center. Writing can be an important element of an employee's job. And again, I'm going to get into this a little bit later, but a communication aspect and being able to be a credible and fluent writer is very important in today's society. Writing is an important element in a student's education. As our students prepare for college and careers, it is important that their writing skills are up to par. Students will most likely be put into a writing class upon entering college, and from there can be given several different writing opportunities. And again, writing can be an important outlet for our students. This could be in the form of creative writing, poetry, or just some type of medium where students can get across any ideas or anything that they are feeling. A great quote from Lucy Calkins is, "It has become increasingly clear that children's success in many disciplines is reliant on their ability to write." And this goes back to that whatever our students know, it's important that they can demonstrate. And typically, that is through writing. The 3 types of writing I'm going to focus on tonight are narrative, informative, or explanatory writing, and argument/opinion writing. These are 3 types of writing that our students are asked to do, not only in school, but once they graduate and enter the workforce or enter college. These are the types of writings our students need to be able to master. So to begin, narrative writing. Narrative is typically any writing that is presented as a story. So what our anchor standards ask our students are that they can write narratives to develop real or imagined experiences or events using effective technique, well-chosen detail, and well-structured event sequences. Our students will be able to convey a real or imaginary experience. And typically, what narrative writing looks like is a fictional story, a novel, could possibly be a memoir, it could be a personal narrative, an anecdote or a short story, and an autobiography. All of these writings come from our students' ability to either write about their lives or to be creative. And again, narrative writing is the art of storytelling. This is an example from a grade 6 student for narrative writing. I only want to read a few sections of this paragraph. And again, this is an excerpt, but I would like to demonstrate how students are using narrative writing in the classroom. I was sitting at a park bench when I saw the endless black heading towards me. "Mom, look," I screamed. My mom turned around and faced me. A look of pure horror was painted across her face. As you can see, the student sets the setting by talking about where the story took place. There are characters, mom and the narrator, and then there are many details. Okay, the pure horror was painted across her face, and these are really good descriptions of what's going on. And again, when we talk about narrative writing, we're talking about that art form of storytelling. Okay. Informative or explanatory writing. With this type of writing, our students are asked to either explain a process or how something occurs, or inform the reader or the audience. The anchor standard for this type of writing is to write informative/explanatory text to examine and convey complex ideas and information clearly and accurately through the effective selection, organization, and analysis of content. So our students are going to be really looking closely at factual evidence to inform the readers. Our students will increase their knowledge of a subject, understand a procedure, or enhance comprehension of a concept. They'll draw on from what they know, and this will come from either a primary document, such as a diary, a journal, or a secondary source, such as a textbook or a news article written about a subject. It is very important for our students to not only know how to analyze and read these types of sources, but to also be able to write about them. And this type of writing often occurs in a scientific or historical report, a summary about something, instructions, manuals, memos, and reports. The following is an example of a 6th grade student with an informational writing piece. The student here is focusing on the saguaro cactus. Now, just from the first paragraph, the saguaro cactus is a huge cactus that lives in the deserts. It can live up to 150 years old. Even though it grows very, very slowly, it grows up to be one of the tallest plants in the desert. The saguaro cactus is very adapted to desert life, and this makes a good home and food for many animals. Now, all of these are facts about the cactus, so our 6th grade student here is writing to inform the reader. And again, they list many facts, and this is important for students to be able to do. The third piece of writing that we encourage our students to do throughout the curriculum is argumentative or opinion writing. Here, our student is asked to write arguments to support claims in an analysis of substantive topics or text using valid reasoning and relevant and sufficient evidence. Our students will be able to write about a concept, issue, or problem that is presented within an argument or an opinion piece, write to change a point of view, bring about an action, or accept the explanation of a concept, issue, or problem. Students will evaluate literary work and defend their judgments with evidence from the text. And again, this goes off the principle of trying to persuade your audience member either to do something or to not do something, or to be for or against a certain topic. The following example is from a 7th grade student. Now, this student wrote about whether or not illegal immigrant children should be eligible for in-state tuition reimbursement at the college level. You'll notice that the student states the side they are on, as well as give many details to why students should be eligible for in-state tuition. When we begin our writing process, planning is one of the most important steps to writing an essay or anything else that students may need, such as a resume. When we brainstorm our ideas, this gives our students a chance to write down what was going to be necessary for the writing process. It gives our students some time to plan and think about the ideas that they want to use. Below, you'll see a mind map, which is typically used as a graphic organizer, which is a great visual for students to organize their ideas. Students can put their idea or the subject in the middle, as well as smaller ideas around it, and then branch off into sub-ideas. Just by using something like this, students are able to organize their thoughts more clearly and typically produce better writing pieces. Now to the right, you'll see a little section on graphic organizers. Now these are one of my favorite things to give to students, whether they're doing reading or writing, but specifically for the writing process, I believe graphic organizers really improve our students' planning. Students can use a graphic organizer to organize their ideas, and again, this is a visual that helps our students plan effectively. Below, you'll see a link that will direct you to a website with many different types of graphic organizers. So these will help in any case or any type of writing that your student may be planning to do. This next slide is going to be focusing on strengthening our short answer responses. Now, when we ask our students in middle school to focus on answering a question, we ask that they use the RACE strategy. And RACE stands for restating the question. So depending on what the question is, they'll restate it. So if I was to ask, what day is it? The day is, and they would give an answer, which is our A. So they'll answer all parts of the questions. Next, they're going to cite evidence from the text. So we ask our students for whatever they read to go back in the text and pull actual quotes or facts from the story or article, and then explain how that answer or explain how that evidence supports the answer that they gave. Now, RACE for short answer. Also, for writing tips, defining pronouns is one of the bigger things making our writing more clear. Writers often use too many pronouns, such as he, she, it, throughout their writing. And after speaking to many writing teachers and English teachers, they suggest that students are defining pronouns more to get better scores in their writing. And it also helps the reader understand what's going on, whether they're doing a narrative or an informative piece. So now for parents or guardians or educators, how can we comment effectively on our children and students' writing? First, one way that you can do this is by telling how the writing made you feel, usually giving your side or your perspective on a writing piece, be encouraging to a student. You can ask a question. So you may want to ask your student or child, how did you come up with this idea? Or what made you think this? Or why do you feel this way? Just showing that interest in our students really encourages them to write. You can make a personal connection to the topic. So if the topic is something that you're familiar with, or it brings to mind something, you can offer that to the student. And again, be encouraging, not only by saying good job or great writing, but try to focus on maybe on one or two things that you think your student does well. So if it's a narrative, maybe the student does a really nice job describing the characters or the setting. If it's argumentative, maybe your student did a great job proving their point. But try to pick out one or two things to focus on. And finally, tell your student what you noticed about the writing. This is kind of going off of being encouraging. You can tell them, you notice that they used great descriptions, or they used evidence, or they used the RACE strategy correctly. Because by showing interest in your child's writing, you are becoming an audience to them. And we all know that our students write and perform a lot better in writing tasks when someone else is reading their work. Now, when we talk about building writing stamina, this is where we discuss, that progress comes from writing daily. As well as with reading, students get better when they are continually writing. So some things that you can do are add writing into your family's daily routine and build it into the schedule. This will help your writer gain confidence in his or her writing. This could be something as, sitting down and journaling what you've done that day. This could be putting a scrapbook together, looking at old pictures, and maybe writing stories that go along with those pictures. But just small, fun activities that you can do with your family, and these will guarantee to help gain confidence in your students' writing. Another great way to ensure that writing is going on at home is to create a space in your home for writing that is free from distractions. This could be a quiet space in the kitchen, unless there is a lot of cooking going on in the kitchen. Then you may want to find maybe a living room without the TV on for a little bit. Or if there's a back porch or a deck where the student can concentrate and really get their thoughts down. Another way is to encourage writing for a variety of purposes. Your child can make a shopping list, write a fictional story, or send a letter. These are all ways that students can see why writing is relevant to their lives. And again, using technology is a great way to improve writing. Encourage your child to send an email to a friend or publish a story online. There are many blogs where students can they can compose a writing piece. They can give their opinion on something. So these are all great ways that students can begin writing for an audience, and this skill will be used in the college and career force. Okay, the following two links will link you to Miss Agarwal's page for reading resources and my page for writing resources. Okay. And as you can see, if you go on to the link, go right over to Parents' Night. And these are a lot of the resources that were either mentioned, and if not, these are definitely resources that coincide with the Common Core. And again, all college and career skills such as summarizing, context clues, point of view, author's purpose, and figurative language. Okay. And again, if you visit my page, I'll show you how to go the longer way. So if you go to the middle school page, teacher pages, scroll down to my name. Click on Parent Resources and tonight's presentation. And now you'll see the following links. So here's some practice with root words or affixes, which are great ways for students to practice vocab. Read, Write, Think has many student writing interactives, such as online graphic organizers or activities that can be used to help the writing process. Here are some free tools that can help make our students' writing better. This gives them the opportunity to edit a passage and practice on their own writing. And finally, this is a website that is dedicated to all types of graphic organizers for writing. So whether your students do an argumentative writing piece, a narrative, or an informative piece, this is a way that they can access all types of writing. So again, at your own leisure, feel free to look at both pages. They are filled with tons of resources. And at this time, we're going to open up some question and answers for the people at home watching. So again, I'm going to pass this to Ronnie, and if you would like to tell them one more time how they can poll into us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Nice job. We're eagerly awaiting your responses, and I will show you at this time how to in to us. So if you go, well, I'll show you. If you go to the teacher page, my teacher page, sorry, the screen is being fidgety, to access online workshops. Down, I'm looking in the ELA column here for 7 o'clock to 7:45. Text questions to presenter. So text the word Orchard Valley without the Y, 461 to 22-333 to join the session, and then text your questions. So at this time, we are waiting your responses. So, Joe, I got a question that came in just now. The question is, where can I find writing exemplars?
So this is a good question. If you notice the samples that I provided in the PowerPoint, these all came from achievethecore.com. So if you go to Achieve the Core, you can search for your student's grade. And if you look, they have many different styles of writing that you can look at. So thank you very much for that question.
Another question that I'm getting is, my child gets so frustrated with writing. He gets writer's block, and I'm afraid that he will get turned off from writing forever. What do you suggest?
So this is a question that I get a lot from parents, especially at the back to school nights. And, it is a thing that happens to not only, elementary or middle school writers, but to really good writers. Now, when I try to tell parents and students is that if you're having a hard time writing, again, try to focus on your topic at hand. Sometimes I have my students make a list of things or ideas that are involved or associated with the writing topic. Using a graphic organizer is really a great way to visualize and see what you have written down so far. And again, maybe not even start with what the assignment is, but have the student do a free writing activity to get their mind situated with writing. So thank you very much for that question.
Okay, another question that's coming in just now is, my child is a great reader, but performs poorly on tests. What can I do to vamp up my child's test scores? This is also a really nice question. In order to answer this, I would like to direct you to my teacher page. So I will share the screen now. On my teacher page, under Parent Cyber Night 3, I have posted several links that talk to test-taking skills and strategies. And you can see over here, top 10 multiple choice strategies. That opens up to a resource that's very helpful. The top comprehension strategies include chunking, marking up the text. And as mentioned earlier, some of these skills over here will also help with test-taking skills, because these are concepts that children at all grade levels should be familiar with. Additionally, there are other ways to just improve skills, especially in today's society when everybody is on the run. You might not have time to do all this work at home. Some of the tablets on Wi-Fi are able to download apps for certain educational platforms. And I would, if I were you at home, I would go to Google and do a search on your Google Play for maybe test-taking strategies or some of the skills that were mentioned earlier today. For example, like summarizing. There are probably summarizing apps out there, and that's something that you should take advantage of in today's technological day and age. And another point I'd like to make, as mentioned before, that reading a lot can also help with comprehension, which can also help on tests. And if children don't like the traditional paper books, they can go into their Kindles if they have Kindles, or their tablets, and utilize ebooks, or go online and find material that's able to be downloadable. And check with the schools that the student is a part of. The librarian might have access to ebooks, and that's something worthy to consider. Okay, I'm getting another question in, and it's talking about, my child has trouble with vocabulary. What do you recommend that my child does in order to improve the vocabulary?
So I believe from a writing standpoint, or even from a reading standpoint, we look at three types of vocabulary tiers. Your bottom tier is your common words that are used mostly every day. Your middle tier are those academic words that a lot of times you see in a textbook, or you might, use it on occasion. And then your highest tier are the technical terms that only might be used in science or social studies. So what we try to focus on is that tier 2 and tier 3, and ways to really increase your students' comprehension of vocabulary is, one, learning a lot of prefixes, suffixes, and root words. When students are able to identify prefixes or suffixes, that's just one step closer they have to identifying vocabulary words without looking it up in the dictionary. Another way that we really stress for vocabulary comprehension is using context clues. So 4 context clues that we always try to encourage students use before looking up a word in the dictionary are looking for synonyms or other words that are similar in the text. Look for antonyms or words that say the complete opposite of the unknown vocab word. Look for examples that are used in the text. And also look for the word being defined or the definition of the word. So there's some suggestions I would give for vocabulary. And with writing, a great thing for a student to use maybe is a thesaurus, where students are able to look up words like hot, cold, and try to find some words that might be a little bit more academic in their writing. So there's a couple suggestions. And again, vocab, there are many different things you could do with vocabulary. And I think those are a couple great ways to start.
Another popular question that has come back, this was asked earlier today, and it has to do with just not having enough time in the day after the child comes home from school. What are ways to encourage the child or get the child to read when there's a lot of homework and there's a lot of activities that the child is doing? So this is a great question, and we get this all the time. And the way to answer this is simply to take everything in bits and chunks. So when we suggest having a child read for pleasure, even if the child reads 10 minutes a day or every other day, that's significantly going to help him or her with regards to just comprehension, with regards to being able to replicate what was read and then turn it into some type of writing. But the skills are definitely going to strengthen, even by incorporating it a little bit at a time. And then once you incorporate reading a little bit at a time, your child will develop more of a stamina. And maybe on weekends, maybe on car rides, maybe during the summertime, your child might end up reading a little bit more, which will be benefit for everybody.
And Ronnie, I think that's a great point, and especially, creating that passion for reading and writing. It really takes a lot at the beginning, but once students see that, one, that they can do it, and two, that they enjoy doing it, that's really how we get them hooked. So try and start maybe with finding what your student likes first. And again, I know the question is more about how to manage the time, but after all the sports and clubs and the homework, the reading part will come easier if students are doing something that they enjoy. And with a great website like AR Book Find, you can find topics your student likes and start broad, and then start to really refine your search and give your student choices. Because again, when we talk about students and wanting to learn and motivate them, it really comes from them feeling that they have the choice and opportunity to control what they're going to do.
Absolutely, Joe. These are great points, and these are great questions that we're getting from our audiences at home. I hope that you continue to ask us questions, and while we're waiting, we know that you're looking at some of these links. So let's see what other questions you have. We're eagerly waiting. Oh, did you log into the right website? Where? Oh, we got one more. And somebody wants to know their child writes a lot of creatively and would like to be acknowledged for their writing and doesn't know of any way to um, make that happen. So, what are your suggestions?
Some things I would do. So there's a couple cool ways to think about, creative writing with our students and to make sure that they get acknowledged. The one thing that I've seen some teachers do is actually have their students write for the purpose of submitting a letter. So students were able to write recently during the Nickelodeon Awards about who they thought should be the one to host it. And the students, again, this took the form of an argumentative writing piece where students try to convince Nickelodeon that their choices should be the hosts. Now, of course, unfortunately, I'm not sure how they end up selecting the host, but the students did receive back a letter of acknowledgement. So I think that's one way to show our students that, hey, what they write is important. Another way to do it is possibly through a magazine called Teen Ink, which is all student created articles, stories, and poems. And if you go onto their website, you can check out some of these topics. And it's great because it is students from K through 12 that are writing and submitting their work. So students not only get to have a place for an outlet, but they can see what other students their age are producing.
Also, Joe, the teachers use at Orchard Valley the Scholastic Scope magazine. And usually at the bottom, there are essays, contests that are available to students. And they can ask their teacher to participate in these activities anytime, given that the activities are not expired, that they're still in session. And they can easily check that.
Yeah, so again, that's another resource that I believe at every middle school, there's a subscription to Scope. So if students are interested in some type of writing contest, they can take control of that opportunity. All right, so that concludes our second session for ELA, College and Career Readiness. I want to thank everyone who tuned in tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. We hope that you gained something from this presentation.